Muscle cars are a quintessential American thing. Low price, good looks, big engine, big noise, and more horsepower than the car can handle. Who cares how fast it goes around the track or if it's using the latest space-age materials? It's all about burning that rubber before it catapults you straight to the horizon. Europeans simply don't have such cars, but there are some that come very close. Some that share the same spirit no matter the price tag or shape they come in. Welcome to Top Cars TV as we unveil the top 10 European muscle cars. Number 10. And just like that, hot hatches are a European thing. These Swiss Army knives of auto industry have been taking kids to school and carving up the mountain passes for decades, sometimes all at once, but we're always somewhat low on power. Until now. This latest Focus RS gets a 350 horsepower EcoBoost engine from Mustang, an excessive body kit, spoiler, fisting exhaust, and a tricked up four-wheel drive system with a drift mode. At the press of a button, this car turns into a circus act that's going sideways, spitting flames and laying rubber on the road. You completely forget that you're just sent to buy some milk. Number 9. Mustang Camaro Challenger Interceptor. There's no denying it's a proper muscle car name, and it comes in a proper shape with an American 440 V8 TNT up front and a rear-wheel drive. All traits of a true muscle car, except this one was hand-built in Britain. That made it very pricey and far from just a cheap thrill, since it was trading blows with the best of the supercars like Porsche 911 or Jag E-Type. When the recession struck, Jensen struggled to survive by selling more sensible, detuned versions, but no one cared for that, and finally, in 1976, the last ever Interceptor was made. Hey, that's a great name for a movie, The Last Interceptor. Number 8. After selling 1 million Mustangs in 2 years, Ford realized what kind of golden mine they were sitting on and quickly made plans to sell the same idea in Europe. They called it the Capri, and it followed the same principle: free-spirited, cheap thrill, rubber-burning coupe. It didn't have a big rumbling V8, but that didn't stop it from becoming a true blue-collar workers' hero of the 70s. Sadly, with the introduction of hot hatches, Capri went out of production, never to return again. But the fact remains, until 2015 and the 6th-gen Mustang that was offered globally, this was Ford's official idea of a European muscle car. Number 7. Here's one right out of the How to American Muscle Car book. Take the smallest car you make and shove in the biggest engine you've got. One such example is Aston Martin's Vantage V12, which is a perfect example of a modern hot rod. Well, not so modern because Vantage was introduced in 2005, back when phones still had buttons and girls had the word juicy written over their butts. And yet Vantage soldiered on for another 12 years, seemingly introducing another variation every so often, like the muscle cars from the 70s. It wasn't the cutting edge, but who cares? It had the power, the noise, the looks, and the name. Job well done. Number 6. I love the Hammer. It's a squared-off, 3-box design that looks so menacing despite trying hard to hide the power bursting from within. Just slightly flared arches, small lip spoiler, blacked-out details, and yet it's not the one you'd want to take on. Huge, AMG-tuned 6-liter V8 was pushing this four-door saloon up to 186 miles per hour, which in 1984 was faster than the fastest Lamborghini. It's because of this car that AMG became the official in-house tuner for Mercedes, because of a car so notorious that it was nicknamed the Hammer. What it really is a German hot rod, a crude, blunt, smashing tool, and the first true king of the Autobahn. Number 5. Between the sumptuous DB6 and DB7, Aston Martin was seemingly lost for almost 30 years, making variations of the same car over and over again. They didn't really have that gentleman's charm, but hey, what was lost for Lord Byron's scrotum balls, it was definitely gained for all of us, because just look at it. It's as close to a Mustang fastback as you can get, plus the hand-built mahogany interior and an engine closely tied to the one raced around Le Mans circuit. And even though it weighed as much as 2 tons of rocks, it still had enough grunt to keep pace with the supercars while carrying 2 extra passengers and their luggage. Number 4. They call it a muscle car with a PhD, and for good reason. While it has all the design cues from the majestic E-Type, this one has a rude attitude. Out of those quad pipes comes a thundering, backfiring, dirty, cursing, trash-talking noise, as if it's mad at the whole world. And that supercharged V8 engine is so unhinged, they had to come up with a 4-wheel drive variation just to stop it from shredding its tires every time you pull out of your own garage. Such anger management issues with a dose of class make it the perfect car for the ultimate British supervillain. Oh yes, it's good to be bad. Number 3. Don't be fooled by the looks. This is not a supercar. Yes, it's Italian, and yes, it's mid-engine, but that's as far as it goes. The grunt came from Ford's 351 cubic inches pushrod V8 muscle, and every other mechanical piece had a Ford number part on it. In fact, in the US, Ford treats and services this car as one of their own. Such simple and crude engineering meant that driving Pantera on European winding roads was less of a fluid dance and more about manhandling the wild beast into submission. Even the looks, while undeniably Italian, are not very
Che bella macchina!
more like Butch Machina. Number 2. How's this for Butch design? Ugly from every angle, but somehow still very likable. And it's a muscle car, through and through. However, the true beauty is hidden under that infinitely long hood. A 6.2-liter supercharged V8 that burps and grunts and growls, all while making that traditional AMG cloud of your own tires. It's a hairy-chested, gasoline-smelling, unapologetic man's car. Even opening those gull-wing doors like a bodybuilder flaring out its usual "look at me" pose. And because of those doors, the hinges are armed with explosives in case you end up on the roof and can't get out. It's not just a car, it's a bomber. Number 1. In the 90s, Aston Martin built the most awesome, stupid car ever. What started off as a soft Grand Tourer with 330 horsepower was soon turned into a 604 horsepower monstrosity. That figure in the 90s was astronomical. To put it into perspective, that's more than any muscle car or any Ferrari, any Lamborghini. For God's sake, it's even more than a quad-turbo Bugatti EB110. The only thing that had more power was the McLaren F1. That's it. The recipe for such lunacy, as always, lies under the hood, where you'll find a 5.3-liter V8 force-fed by not 1, but 2 superchargers. Because reasons. It wasn't the fastest or the quickest off the line, but it had a nuke up front, smoldering tires in the back, and seating for 2 in the middle. It is the best European muscle car ever. Agree with the picks? What other European muscle cars can you think of? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more awesome videos from Top Cars TV.